Hello all, this is Sai Mohan from Group 4 and the topic assigned to us is cars. Did you know that in 2021 there are 1 billion cars out there on the street, and scientists say that soon, within few decades, this number is going to be doubled, that is 2 billion cars out there on the streets. There are almost 70 million cars produced every year. Have you ever thought that how they are made? What is the process the product goes through? From the scratch where the raw material is extracted to the end product where finally the car goes onto the street. Allow me and my teammates to explain the production process of a car.
A vehicle frame forms the basis of an automobile, which is known as a chassis. This frame supports the sub-assemblies and other components of the car. It provides stability to the car from the variety of forces and impact it has to sustain throughout its life. The material used for the construction of the chassis is usually carbon steel, but now it is also made up of aluminum alloys, considering its lightweight characteristics. The chassis comprises of I, C and U sections of steel. Operations such as folding, pressing and rolling are done to incorporate various chassis members. Press blanking and blending are important stages in the chassis production. Finally, surface treatment is done for anti-corrosion, damage and wear prevention and to improve its hardness, etc.
Hi, I'm Vishnu K. I'll be explaining different processes involved in the manufacturing of internal combustion engine. The main function of the IC engine is to convert the chemical combustion into mechanical motion. The major components involved in the IC engine are piston, crankshaft, camshaft, engine block and cylinder head. Engine block serves as the housing for various components in the engine. Aluminium or grey cast iron are used as the materials. Sand casting or die casting is the methods used for manufacturing. The piston starts as a 9-foot long steel rod. Then it is pressed in the forging process under around 2000 tons of pressure. Then it is heated for strengthening. Then it undergoes various machining operations like lathe and milling operations for cutting the excess metals and drilling holes. The crankshaft is made up of steel and camshaft is made up of either steel or cast iron. Computer aided manufacturing is used for obtaining accurate balance in crankshaft. The cylinder head is located on the top of the engine. It covers the engine to create the combustion chamber. And the low form casting is used since it has several complex cavities. Many components like cylinder head and engine blocks are pre-forged before it reaching the factory. After that, it undergoes inspection and CNC operation. Now we move on to the final stage, which is the assembly. First, the crankshaft is bolted into the engine block. Then the piston is pushed into the cylinder using air pressure. Then the oil pan and cylinder head are bolted using robots. Then the workers manually add the top parts like push rods and valve covers. And finally, the dyno testing is done, where the engine is fixed on a dynamometer and it mimics the original car, and some tests are conducted for 3 to 4 days.
We know that in case of internal combustion engines, the combustion of the air and the fuel takes place inside the engine cylinder and hot gases are generated. The temperature of the gases will be around 2500 to 2300 to 2500 degrees Celsius. This is a very high temperature and may result into burning of the oil film between the moving parts and may result into seizing and welding of the same. So this temperature must be reduced to about 150 to 200 degrees Celsius, at which the engine will work more efficiently. Too much cooling is also not desirable since it reduces the thermal efficiency. So the objective of the cooling system is to keep the engine running at its most efficient operating temperature. So let's get into the components of the cooling system. The cooling system is made up of the passages inside the engine block and the heads, a water pump to circulate the coolant, a thermostat to control the temperature of the coolant, a radiator to control the coolant, and a radiator cap to control the pressure inside the system, and the interconnecting hoses to transfer the coolant from engine to the radiator.
Let us now know how a car battery is made up. The lithium material is made into lithium carbonate and it is processed at a battery plant. The manufacturing of a plant assembles the batteries, and the batteries are then placed into an electric vehicle which has zero emissions. Cobalt, lithium and nickel are the main components of making a car battery. Now let us know the steps of making a battery. Pulping of an active material, which is also called as mining, is the first and foremost step of the making of a car battery. Mining processes to stir the active material and into a slurry, and the first process of being making, and it is called as production. The second step being applying a stir slurry into a copper foil, which is also known as coating. The third step being pressing and splitting the cathode and material into a copper foil, which is also called as cold pressing and pre-cutting. The fourth step will be the cutting out the positive and negative cathodes, electrodes on the battery, and the fifth step being finishing the prototype of the battery cell, which is also called as winding. Now, the removing of the moistures and injecting the electrolyte would be also called as baking and injecting. This is the sixth step, and the seventh step being the process of cell activation, which is also called as formation. The eighth step would be battery pack and production process, which comprises of feeding, plasma cleaning process, gluing for the cell, bending of a plate and side plates, and assembling of the wire harness and isolation. The ninth step would be completing of the serial parallel connection of battery, which is also called as laser welding. There are the last step being testing process, which comprises also fire test, vibration test, impact test and squeeze test. Thank you.
Composition for different layers of the tire. Now the tire mainly consists of 3 layers. These 3 layers are made separately and they are combined together and compressed and inflated to get the required shape of the tire. The tire now generated is known as the green tire, and it does not have any tread patterns above it. This tire is sent to a hot mold in order to shape it into a required shape and to transfer the thread patterns on the top of it. Finally, the mold gives a finished tire and it is ready to be assembled.
Hello everyone, this is Sukanya. I will be giving a brief explanation on another important component of a car, that is the seat. Car seats are an essential part of the driving compartment in a vehicle. There are several car seat parts that make up a car seat. These includes rails, latches, seat frames, springs and seat covers. Each part is assembled individually with special tools and equipment to create an entire car seat. The seat frame is the lower attachment that secures the car seat to the floorboard of the vehicle. These car seat parts allow the seat to slide forward or backward within the driving compartment. Each type of frame is designed for a specific car and application. There are automatic car seats also that includes special electric motors, coils, rails and drive belts that enable the seat to rotate and lift with an electrical switch. Many advanced car seats have climate control features. There are some unique parts that allow the seats to be warmed and cooled with coils that run throughout the seat cushion. Seat belts are one of the most important car seat parts. When replacing a seat belt, it is important to ensure that the part is authentic and properly installed. This device is very critical for safety and should be installed with vendor-specific parts that are available only through the automobile manufacturers. All these parts that contribute to the car seat are typically available for replacement from the automobile manufacturers or aftermarket suppliers. Thank you.
Windshields are a familiar part of a vehicle. They act as safeguards for passengers, protecting them from weather and debris. After the raw materials are properly measured in the appropriate amounts, the batch is melted using the float glass process. The float method, the name itself shows, is literally a glass floats inside a chamber during one of the manufacturing steps. In a specially designed float chamber, the glass floats are fixed by moving through a conveyor belt. At the opening is 1000 degrees Celsius and at the exit is 600 degrees Celsius. The cooler temperature allows the glass to harden itself enough to move into the next phase of production. Solar coatings are made into glass to prevent heat from permeating inside our car. The glass is gradually cooled to about 200 degrees Celsius before cooling to room temperature when it is ready to be set. After the cooling, The last sheet of glass need to be cut to size and shaped to decide curvature. Using a diamond scribe, cut is made into glass, which is then broken or just snapped. This step is automated to maintain high levels of accuracy. The sheet of glass is then placed into a mold where it's bent into shape. The glass is then tempered to improve its strength by quickly heating the glass, then blasting it with cold air. The process toughens the glass and puts the outer surface into compression and inner surface into tension. By tempering, when the glass is damaged, the windshield will break into many small pieces of glass without sharp edges.
Car body painting is a highly sophisticated process that is constantly evolving and involving. Several steps are included during the painting process. Cathodic e-coating gives the car body as a primer coat. It protects the car from corrosion, especially the cavities of the body that cannot be reached by spray application. Primer evens out any irregularities of the underlying layer. It can be sanded easily and provides a smooth surface. Base coat gives a main color to the piece, therefore it plays a significant role in establishing the final visual impression. Clear coat sails everything else and it is applied last. It protects the car from external elements like UV radiations, snow, dirt, etc. The biggest problem during the painting is dust and dirt. In order to achieve the maximum cleanliness and removing dirt using with the help of ostrich feathers. After the robots finished their work, the human hands and eyes coming to check whether the surface is even smooth. After the final inspection, we have a body that customer's color of choice.
Imagine you're riding your car and suddenly you see an aircraft approaching the road level. What will you do now? Exactly. You will push the brake pedal as hard as possible to stop the car. So brakes are critical to ensure safety on the road. Braking system is thus an important process in the manufacture of a car. Today, most of the cars employ hydraulic braking system. The front brakes are considered to be more important than the rear because the car throws weight forward to the front wheels while braking. And based on this, the disc brakes are employed at the front wheels and drum brakes are usually used at the rear wheels. A hydraulic braking system mainly consists of a brake pedal, a master cylinder, the wheel cylinder or the slave cylinder, the brake fluid reservoir, the brake pipelines and many other components which are shown in the illustration. Remember one thing, drive safe to avoid sudden brakes.
I hope that now it's clear that what are the major parts required to need for the manufacture of a car. So, mostly the car companies ask third parties to manufacture small parts like tires, and major parts like engine and chassis are manufactured by themselves. After the manufacturing process, they are transported to a storage unit or a warehouse. From there, they are taken to a manufacturing unit at the time of assembling the final product. And mostly, the assembling process is done by the machine power to minimize error and increase efficiency. The final product is thus distributed to the final customers. Thank you.